All right, rapid reactions to the Iowa State duel. It just finished. The Hawkeyes won 21-15, and in this duel, a lot of action, a lot of surprises. We saw a key injury at one of the weights. We saw a surprise Angelo Ferrari used at 184, along with another surprise starter. Going to get into everything that happened in the Iowa State duel, starting at 125 pounds, where it was Adrian Meza of Iowa State getting the win over Cale Peterson. It was a first period takedown off a short drag for Meza was basically the difference. Not much really separating the two otherwise. A couple really interesting scrambles there. Both guys are pretty tough, but I think they're going to have to come a long ways if they're going to be pushing for All-American status this year. But good scrap to get it started. And then at 133, it was Drake Ayala using his left-handed single leg, not once but twice, against Evan Frost. Those two takedowns plus a slide by gave Drake an 11-7 win over Frost. Frost got a takedown of his own. Drake did a really nice job getting away from Frost on a couple of occasions. Frost known for his ability to wrestle really well from the top position, but Drake did a good job getting away there. And this was an upset slightly on paper. I thought Drake would win this match. I like the matchup on his feet. And when Drake is firing that left-handed single leg, he is a different wrestler. There's no question about it. And he went to it early, and he went to it another time, and that was really the difference. And his slide by at the end was beautiful. He was kind of getting pressured, and honestly, Drake was ceding a lot of ground throughout this match. He wasn't coming forward a lot. He kind of floated to the edge. Frost was pressuring forward, probably trying to get a stall call, and he hit his patented slide by. It was really nice wrestling from Drake Ayala. At 141 pounds, Ryder Block got it started with a nice hard double leg from space, but it was Zach Redding getting the takedown and some key riding of his own for the win. And it was a little interesting because Redding got the takedown in the second period and rode for a while, rode Block for a while in the second period. And then Block went under to start the third after having a hard time getting away. He got ridden for around a minute in the third period and then only had a minute to get away. Down 5-3 for Block. I figure it might make more sense if he went neutral there, give himself a full 2 minutes to push for a takedown, when really an escape that doesn't really matter because you're going to need a takedown either way. But either way, it was Zach Redding getting the job done, winning it, and keeping Iowa State in it. Although the loss at 133, you knew it was going to be uphill for Iowa State to get this win. And then you go to 149. This was a really weird match, guys. You had Anthony Estandia. He got the only takedown of this match. He kind of took a leg attack, and he did what he does best. He comes around the body, upper body, throws Parko to his back, almost. Parko able to belly down and just give up the takedown. But Parko got an escape, and then in the third period, might have been second, doesn't really matter for this. No, it was the third for sure, because Estandia got the takedown in the second. Sorry, I'm going off the head. So Parko went down. And Estandia locked hands. He had an illegal mat return and gave up the escape. So Parko scored 3 points from bottom in the third period, and ultimately that was the difference, as Kyle Parko was able to win. No takedowns, no real offensive points, but he didn't need any. He didn't have to push for it at the end because he had already had the lead off the three exchanges. And shout out, honestly, Tom Brands was all over the illegal return. I didn't really notice it in real time. They had already given the locked hands call, so I wasn't sure what he was challenging. And then he challenges, and they immediately give the point there after review. So smart challenge there, because that was the difference in the Parko Estandia match. And then you go up to 157, and this is something that could have long-term effects. You know, the duel is kind of a really fun thing for the weekend, for the moment. But what happened at 157, I'm hopeful doesn't, but could have lasting impacts for this season. Ja'Cory Teamer was on bottom against Pinheiro Johnson. Pinheiro dropped down to the single leg, got it standing, and it was a weird. Ja'Cory was kind of wiggling his leg out, and then he grabbed his hamstring hard. He tried to go back to center. They began wrestling. He took injury time. He tried to wrestle again. Pinheiro took bottom off the injury time, and Ja'Cory tried to ride for a little bit, let him go, and then he let Pinheiro in on the leg, and Tom Brand said enough's enough and stopped the match. This was an injury default win for Iowa State at 157, which, you know, that put them up 12-6 at the break, which is, you know, that's in striking distance for the win for Iowa State. But then 65 comes, and I'll say, I was impressed with Connor Uton against Michael Caliendo. He got the opening takedown. It was a little It was a neutral danger zone takedown, so, was it the 3-second? Wasn't. I thought he actually did get it, but, it was definitely a close call there. So Uton got the first takedown. But the story of this match was really Caliendo in on the legs. I mean, he must have got, he wasn't just taking shots. It was committed shots. He was getting to a lock on both sides, and eventually the dam broke. He got a couple takedowns and was able to get the win. And, man, his output for 7 minutes straight, Caliendo, really impressive, because it's not just forward. It's forward with attacks. And we've seen him a couple times in the last couple weeks. Really, he down early, and he just keeps coming, keeps attacking, keeps scoring. And then tight matches get blown out. And that's what we saw at 165. And then 174, this is one of the big surprises. It was not Nelson Brands. It was Patrick Kennedy for the Iowa Hawkeyes, who they used against Aiden Riggins at Iowa State. Now, you may be saying, wasn't Aiden Riggins on Iowa last year? Yes, he was. He transferred from Iowa to Iowa State. So now a couple things could be going on here, and we're left to, guess. But was Patrick Kennedy just someone who dominated Riggins in the room? And they knew if they used him, it would go really well. Because if that was the case, that plan worked out very, very well. Because Patrick Kennedy was all over. I mean, from the word go, double leg takedown, and he never stopped until it was a tech fall. Kennedy pushed for scores till the very end, and he got this takedown right at the end of regulation for the 15-point margin of victory, and got the tech for Iowa, putting them back on top. And the Hawks didn't look back from there. But the question is, at 174, broader, what's going to, how can this impact the regular season? Well, this is a great first run for Patrick Kennedy this year, who's looks like he's going to be vying for 174. He went to U23s at 79 kilograms, I believe, which is 174. And so now, the Hawks have two great 174-pounders. They've got Nelson Brands, who's placed 5th previously 2 years ago. And they have Patrick Kennedy, who just put on a fantastic point-scoring performance. So with Patrick, you got the output. You've got the ability to score a lot of points. With Nelson Brands, you've got a guy who's proven he can get it done in NCAAs. It's going to be a tough call and something to monitor for Iowa as the season progresses. And then 184, the surprise of surprises. Angelo Ferrari comes out to take on Iowa State's Evan Bachmann. And we knew that Ferrari weighed in, and that wasn't a big surprise, because Iowa and many teams will weigh in a lot of guys in case something happens. But using Angelo Ferrari here, I think it's a message. Now, before you jump to conclusions, what does that mean about Gabe Arnold? Well, I still expect Gabe Arnold to be the Iowa starter this year at 184. I think they liked the matchup. I think they felt Gabe, and no inside information. I'm trying to read a tea leaf. Gabe will wrestle a close match. And if you wrestle a close match against someone really good like Evan Bachmann, you can get stung. And I think they probably felt Angelo's going to try to score. And that's exactly what happened. He came out, got a single leg right away, got another takedown. He looked really good in the scrambles. He rode for a little bit. He was pushing for a major at the end. It was a really, really impressive debut in Carver Hawkeye for Angelo Ferrari. I thought he looked really good, and it was a validating choice. Evan Bachmann never really got in the match. Angelo got the early takedown and sort of never looked back. Now, to reiterate, I don't expect Ferrari to be the guy this year, because they can use him 5 times this year without burning his red shirt. Gabe Arnold's there. I think he's a great option at 184. And then next year, I would presume Gabe will go down to 74, and you can use Angelo at 184. And it's pretty seamless that way. But for this duel, I think it made a lot of sense. Very obviously, you can see why Tom Brands elected to use Angelo Ferrari. The proof was truly in the pudding. And then at 197, what a statement, another statement, we should say, from Stephen Buchanan, who gets the major decision over Christian Carroll. A very tough Christian Carroll, but it shows there's definitely a gap between those two, and not likely to be made up this year, in my opinion. Stephen Buchanan looks like we thought he would. He looks like a title contender, but maybe even a little better. I mean, his defense, his offense, everything is clicking right now for Stephen Buchanan. It was an impressive win, and it was the win that ultimately sealed the duel officially for Iowa, and it was a really impressive one. And then at heavyweight, another great match. We had Younger Bastida taking on Ben Keer. Now, Younger got the early takedown against Ben Keer, and he was up kind of big, but then not too big. And then in late sequence in the third period, not one but 2 occasions, Ben Keer had a near side cradle locked up. The first time, he was on the edge and they blew it out of bounds. Keeter still had a toe in. And while Iowa was not pleased with that stoppage, it was probably gonna be tough for Keeter to pull that in and flip him over for near fall. But then right afterwards, they go back to center, and Keeter locks up a near side cradle again, and he almost had him on his hip where he could roll, but could not quite secure the near fall. Bastida was able to fight out of it, and he ultimately was able to win the match. But it was a 21-15 final for the Iowa Hawkeyes. So much to discuss out of this duel with the Iowa lineup. You know, for Iowa State, you know, they weighed in Cody Chittum and Pinheiro Johnson at 157. Could we still see Echmandia drop to 49 with Swiderski being out the year? And then you could see Pinheiro slide 49 and then Chittum 57. And then next thing you know, the Cyclones are definitely a tougher duel and tournament team with that lineup, if they can do it. I don't know what's going to happen. All I know is this was a lot of fun. I want to know what your thoughts were on the Cy-Hawk duel. Once again, it goes to the Hawkeyes.